Excel basically allows us to customize how our numbers can look, right? So there's a wide array of options that we can have when it comes to formatting our numbers. And this basically comes with the text options as well. And that's because Excel already has a sequence of how we can format cell using certain kind of codes to display what we want with regards to numbers and text, with regards to dates, with regards to mostly all of the different categories of formatting options that we have. But here I want to talk about the numbers and the text section of custom formatting. Now, the way it works is this. In the area where we get to format our cell using custom options, Excel has a sequence of how things should look, right? Starting with positive numbers. That means we're allowed to define what our positive numbers is going to look like. Then we're allowed to define what our negative numbers should look like, bad spellings. Then what our zero will look like, and what our text should look like. So basically, the sequence of how the code goes starts with positive numbers followed by a semicolon. So you basically have some codes like this, then you have a semicolon, then you have some other codes, you have a semicolon, you have some other codes like that, another semicolon, and some other codes. Right? Now, what this code simply means is the first set of code before the semicolon represents your definition of how your positive numbers will look like. The second set represents the definition of how your negative numbers should look like, then the zeros, and then the text, right? Now let's take a look at this. So this cell that I have earlier formatted, I could go back to Control 1 for us to see what formatting option we applied. So we're using the number format, and we've also selected that our negative numbers should show in red, right? Now, if I go to click on custom, you are going to see that there is some codes right here in the type space that we have. And you will see that it also comes with semicolons, right? So basically now, two options have been defined here. An option for positive numbers, followed by the semicolon, and then followed by the option for the negative number. And the code that you see here basically, describes what the number should look like when it is being displayed. So you will see that after the semicolon comes the formatting of the negative numbers, which starts with red. And that's why every time I type a negative number in there, you always see that negative number showing as red, right? Then you see a negative sign beside that, right? That's why if I type in the negative number will always come with a minus sign behind it. Okay, so for example, if I was going to format this code now, if I was going to apply some custom method to this code, all I'll do is, for example, I could change this red to blue, right? So if I change this red to BLUE, and I could basically remove this negative from there and use an opening bracket, then maybe come to the end here and use a closing bracket. So if I click OK now, you see my positive numbers remains the same because I haven't touched it. But if I change this to minus 900, then you see that minus 900 is going to be in color blue and it's going to also appear in parentheses. That's because if I go back, Control 1, I will see that I have two sections of codes formatted on the cell. The first section displays what my positive numbers should look like, right? It should have 1,000 separator, it should have 2 decimal places, and then there's a semicolon, right? It should also have a space, behind it in case I get to have, 2 sets of numbers. Then I have the semicolon to indicate that I have done formatting my positive number, and then the next section you see there is meant to format my negative numbers. And if I was going to format zeros as well, I was going to show my zeros in certain ways, then I will put another semicolon like that. And whatever I type in here next is going to represent what my zeros are going to look like, and so on and so forth.